good things come from China. And I've had a few different companies asking me about reviewing products. So let's see what we got. Let's get right to it, and then we'll talk about crazy technology and the information industrial complex, which apparently is the next thing you got to watch out for, according to Tim Cook. Come on, man. And I'll tell you, when you get this stuff through DHL, it is, I'm not going to say child-proof, it's almost open-proof. I don't even know where the end of this box is. I'm just going to start slicing things here in a second. Hopefully not my hand. Let me get in this sucker. Hopefully you guys can see that. This camera, I can't get it very far away from what it is I'm recording, or it starts to look terrible. I mean, it's having a hard time focusing in the first place, and I need some cooling. It's hot in this room. All right, so here's what we have. Hoping they didn't put anything silly here. Oh, okay. It is in fact what I thought. So if you guys haven't already seen it, I've been using one of these little eye power. You see this camera just does not want to focus. That's a bummer. Okay, there we go. So this, I guess you need to be 3 inches away and then it works great. So this is an iPower Pro. It's going to be very similar to the one that I normally use. And if you haven't already seen these, well, let's go ahead and open it up real quick because we will be using this. You will need a, tell us about the price and how long the shipment took. Well, here's the thing. On these are promotional items, so I am supposed to disclose that I did not pay for them. If you go to their website, and this company, I don't know how to pronounce this, okay? This is the company name. So if you just Google this, I think it's Quanly or Quinley. Google this and go to their website, and you should be able to get the information. I'm going to take a wild guess here. I think these things retail for around 50 bucks, but I may be off, so don't hold me to that. But I got to tell you, they are invaluable when you want to be able to quickly power up a motherboard without putting the entire phone back together. So here's the deal. Oh, this is a little different. I'm going to grab my other one so you guys can see how this compares. But they come with a set of cables, and I watched a video early today, and he was completely right. So in order to make shipping easier, apparently, they do not attach the pieces that go onto the board, so this will require some soldering, which unfortunately I can't demonstrate because of the whole camera issue. But when these things are actually working, let's see where I put this sucker at. What they do, it's right behind me. So what they look like once you get them put together is, and this is my old one, so you can see they're pretty similar. The one on the right is the one that I normally use. God, that red looks crazy. There we go. Okay, so the one on the right is the one that I've been using, and they have an on-off. That's going to make the power available to whatever it is that you're working with, and then when you hit the power button, that will actually prompt the phone to boot, which means you don't have to short pins together. You don't have to dig under cables looking around, check your schematic if you don't happen to remember or know off the top of your head where that is. And I find that saves me a lot of time because I don't like messing around with that kind of stuff. In fact, you know, obviously you don't have to have the screen attached, but when these are put together, they look like this. So we have, come on, focus for me. We have on one cable an iPhone 6 plus iPhone 6 4.7. They've got the, over here we've got an iPhone 7, an iPhone 7 Plus, and so forth. And these go all the way up to the iPhone 10. And I think I have a board laying around here. Let's go ahead and grab that real quick. If you have an iPhone 7 Plus, let's say, that you're working on, I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably already seen these, but if you have an iPhone 7 Plus, you take this cable that says 7 5.5 and it plugs in, come on, focus for me, would you? There we go. So it's going to plug into the battery terminal and the lightning port connector at the same time. The other end, come on, wow, I'm really sorry about this camera. It's terrible unless you stay still. So we're going to have this plugged in. On the opposite end, you have a USB cable. The USB is going to go into this little red box, and as you can see, you can attach 4 of these sets at one time. The other end goes to your power supply. So obviously turn on the power supply, but there is no power available until you hit this little button. In fact, let's plug it in so you can actually see. Wow, that cable's a little on the short side. So I think my older one might have longer leads on it. In fact, I am pretty sure that it does. No, actually it doesn't. Okay, so if I plug this into my power supply, which I'm gonna have to drag forward here a bit and knock the camera out of the way. what happens is if you hit this first button here, whoops, let's turn the power supply on, Mike. And supply. Okay, so if you hit the button on the left, you can see there's a little light that comes on. Okay, and then when you click the right-hand side, this is going to prompt your phone to boot. So this is helpful for a number of reasons. You know, basically, you take your phone, if you've done some sort of repair to it, and you want to find out if it's going to boot up. You don't want to, you know, when you're dealing with like an iPhone 6 Plus, iPhone 7 Plus, you don't want to put this thing all the way back in the housing and try to maneuver around those cables and everything else. Same thing with Galaxies. They don't, however, provide, I don't think that they have anything in here for a Galaxy. However, you could certainly rig one up if you've got like an old battery laying around if you do some soldering. You touch the motherboard without gloves. Is that okay with iPhones? I have never found that to be a problem. Now, obviously, if you got your hands full of a bunch of stuff, that, you know, you don't want to contaminate it. But as far as things like electrostatic discharge, for the most part, these things are well protected. So if you want to wear gloves, by all means, you know, knock yourself out. I think that the main thing that you're going to accomplish is keeping your fingerprints out of the inside of the phone. Again, as long as your hands are clean and you're not in an environment where you generate a lot of static electricity. Now, I have lived places where you walk across a room and you touch a doorknob or the drywall and you get shocked every time. If you have shag carpets or you're in an area where there is thunderstorms or anything like that and you think that's a risk, you know, by all means take precautions. But for the most part, it's not nearly as sensitive as something like a processor in a computer, RAM, or anything like that. These things are all self-contained. They're all grounded for the most part one way or another. So I don't suspect that it's impossible, but I think it's unlikely. I don't, to my knowledge, you know, in my entire 20-some years of repairing phones, I've never damaged a phone by touching it with my fingers as far as a motherboard is concerned. But again, you know, if you want to take the precaution, and there is something to be said for presentation, throw on some gloves. If you're working in front of customers, you might put their mind at ease. I don't know, but I don't find that it's a problem. However, it's a little unfortunate. It looks like you get to do it yourself on these pieces that plug in. I'm not going to be able to do that today. So that's one of the things that they sent me. I do recommend these though. I've been using these for a while, and yes, it is true that if you power up the phone and you're doing, you know, if you're testing for voltages, this little box right here is going to have some effect on what goes from here into the phone. So that's going to be a factor. That's something you do want to keep in mind. But as far as being able to just prompt the phone to boot because I want it to turn on at the push of a button, to me, you know, I'm going to use this at every opportunity. I definitely have been. Let's see, where are we? Hey, Oscar, how you doing? Cool. I'm glad if that's helpful. Awesome. I feel good about that. So that's what this is. This is another one of the original ones that I had, and I can't recommend these enough. You know, guys, you should certainly have a power supply. If you don't, that should be on your list. You can get a decent one for like around $100, and they just make your life so much easier. Now, if you do have Android devices, or at least for Galaxies, you can buy some cables that will fit them. And recently, hold on one second here. Recently, this one, oh, now you can get these. These don't have the switch built in. They just plug straight into your power supply, and the other end goes to the battery. That's it. There's no little box like this in between. So you have a few different options. But what I wanted to show you guys is that I went online a while ago, and one of the more frustrating things I think for all of us is when you have an iPad come in, you have a difficult time testing when it comes to the battery itself, right? So a lot of times you'll get an iPad and you have a certain type of problem and you think, well, maybe the problem is the charge port, maybe it's the TriStar, maybe it's the PMIC, maybe it's the battery. Well, let's rule out the easy thing first. Unfortunately, on an iPad, taking the battery out of the housing is a considerable investment of time. I'm not saying it's super difficult, but you know, there's always a risk of causing damage. What if that's not the problem? You're wasting your time screwing around with all that adhesive and glue and everything else. I found online that they actually sell these for a few different types of iPads. So this one right here is for the mini. They've got them for the full-size iPads. Ironically, they didn't have exactly the one that I wanted, but these plug directly into the battery terminal. You can connect the other side of the USB into this box, hit the power button, and you will still have to prompt it to boot. Here's the catch. This does not interface, obviously, because the the lock button is going to be pretty far away from the battery terminal in most cases, so this will not prompt the device to boot, but as soon as you hit the button on the left-hand side here, this will allow current to flow once you hit that power button, so you can use this temporarily in the place of a battery in order to power up the device. So I thought that was really helpful, and I will invest in one of those for anything that I'm going to be working on. I mean, they're a few bucks a piece, so they're definitely helpful to have those on hand. So let's move along here before we get tied up too long in one spot and see what else we got in the box. Let's go with these little dudes right here. I seriously have no idea what this is. Who are we? Well, here's a little bit of company information. Oh, look at this. It's a Chinese throwing star or something like that. This reminds me of like a old kung fu movie. We used to get in trouble for having possession of these as kids. We would buy them at the flea market and then get them confiscated. So this has some sort of measurements on it. I guess if you want to, it's called the T-Tool Plus. I imagine this is a pry tool because you can grip it from the center, and it's a very thin piece of metal. This is even thinner than the iSesamo. Again, I don't know specifically what use they have in mind for these, but I would imagine if you want to pry under something, God, this camera's killing me. If you need to pry under something, this may be your ticket, and there's a whole bunch of them in there. Obviously, they're going to get chewed up over time because they're super thin, but if you need something that's thinner than an iSesamo, and for me, you guys know, I use razor blades all the time because I like them because they're strong and they have the ability to get between smaller crevices than the iSesamo does without putting excessive stress on things like glass or metal. This, I think, is almost as thin as a razor blade. So again, very flexible. It's not going to be something you can put a lot of pressure on, but you can certainly get something started with it. This camera's killing me. And it looks like, oh, look, we've got different sizes. So this is like, what is this? It's not a hexagon. What do you call the 5-sided one? I seriously don't remember. This one's kind of rounded. So you got a variety. Look at this. We have a triangle in here and another one that's kind of a star shape. So these obviously available on their website. I will put that video. I'll put the link down in the video description once we get finished here, so you can check those out for yourselves if you like. And throwing stars. Does this allow you to pry open your enemies? Hey, that is a good thought. That's a good idea. You can pry open your enemies. Okay, I'm going to get to those in a second. These are, screw it. Let's do it now. Now, there is actually a website on this one. It says Geek Bar Tools, and I just realized something. I think this camera really struggles with focusing on reflective surfaces, and that has been my experience with the microscope as well. When you have something that's very shiny and you turn the light up, the camera gets very confused. So maybe I'm being a little harsh on this thing. You can actually read that, right? Okay, so in here, I believe we have some new stencils, which I will be making some videos about because I have a whole bunch of stuff I'm going to be reballing in the next few days. And let's see what these look like, because I've got a couple. I've been using the old school ones, and I recently invested in the 3D stencils, which I have to say, I believe the concept of the 3D stencil is valid and will ultimately make your life easier. At the same time, I believe that once you get used to the old school kinds that aren't the 3D, there's kind of a transitionary learning curve there. So I've had the 3D ones work well for me sometimes, but not all the time. And really my main motivation for switching over is when I have one of my old ones that's worn out and I go, okay, let's go ahead and get a new one. Then I buy the 3D. I've got it for the iPhone 7 and for the iPhone 6, and I've been using those. But on the others, I use the old school ones, and they're not bad. But obviously, the big differences are going to be how thick they are, the fact that the holes are actually square instead of round, and this is super lightweight, which I kind of expected. So what is this? There's no, I don't think there's any designation as to which one we're looking at here. So what is this for? This is TO12. Well, it doesn't tell me anything. Okay, there we go. So it is actually printed on the stencil. Come on, you can do it. Can't do it when it's shiny, can you? If I do that, no. Anyways, this is for the 5S Power Logic module, is what it says, and that is just basically a reballing stencil. And it looks like the holes are actually round. I need to get under the microscope to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure these are round. Oh, there we go. Now you can read it, right? Yeah. So we got 5S. I have a whole stack of these. Thank you so much for sending these. Again, these were from the manufacturer, and I will definitely be using them, and I'll be making some videos and hopefully sending them some traffic, you know, assuming they work well, which I have no reason to think they wouldn't. I'll let you guys know again in some future repair videos how this pans out. Come on. Okay, so a whole stack of stencils. I'm not going to go through all of those for obvious reasons, but you can get them at the website, geekbar.tools. I didn't know .tools was even an option. It's 3:20 a.m. here. My eyes are closing all the time. Is it possible to watch this video? Absolutely. This video will be available anytime after now, you know, once we get done. So yeah, by all means, it won't hurt my feelings. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Come back, check it out. And if you like it, give me one of these, and I certainly appreciate that. Any comments or questions, you can always put them down in the video description. I normally cover reflective phones with my hand so the autofocus focuses properly. That's probably what I should be doing. And I'm going to also grab my wireless mouse so I don't have to travel all the way over there. Let's see if this thing's going to work. Have a good surface. Okay, yeah, so now I can see your comments, and I don't have to walk all the way to the other side of the room or move over there. All right. Okay, well, hey, thanks for joining us. PD Pain Return. Look at this. They sent me a little card of some sort. I'll open that later up, see what it says. And what is this? This is the iMesa. Now, this is one that they had asked me about reviewing, and I wasn't sure what it was, and now I know. This is for home button repairs, which I believe are going to be, if they're not already a big thing, the next big thing. So what you have here is the part of the home button. Come on, here we go. The part of the home button that gets torn, and if you haven't seen the G-Lon video, he actually has a tutorial that shows you how to go in, cut the cable, and this is going to be the new part of the cable that you splice in. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of these in a package. Definitely going to be worthwhile because, as we all know, once somebody tears their home button, they only have 2 options. One is to not have a home button, and the other one is to go to Apple, and we certainly don't want to send anyone to Apple, so this will give us a third alternative, and that is to repair the Touch ID on the iPhone, what did we say? iPhone 7 and 8, 7 Plus and 8 Plus, so this is really cool. I'm looking forward to this. I wish that I had a torn home button to try this out on, because that would be awesome. So one way or another, should I just intentionally tear a home button so that we can try it out? Might end up doing that. So that's pretty cool. That is like a game changer. Oh, look, it even has the G-Lon thing on it. Which coincidentally, folks, I found the other attachment for my G-Lon tool. If you haven't seen this already, and this is not one that came with this shipment, this is one that I had and I've been experimenting with. This is a home button, come on, this is a Touch ID home button holder. So you've got a little clamp over here. You move this to the side just like a board holder, lay your flex cable down inside of this little deal, and then the idea is you take your old school soldering iron, if you remember the ones that have the ceramic filament where you twist the metal end off, and there's actually a threaded area inside this thing. I don't know how well this is going to pick up here. This is actually threaded on the inside, so you can take the soldering tool, your soldering iron, and just twist this thing on, turn it on, and it heats it up from the inside, and that is in order to remove the turtle IC from the flex cable without damage. That's the idea. So if you wanted to replace the U10, which my understanding is that is one of the components that you can remove without losing your Touch ID ability, that's what this tool is for, but we're not talking about that tool. I just wanted to show you that because I thought it was pretty cool. So this is something you're going to also want to have on hand because we know how easy it is for people to tear home buttons, although most people would say, that's impossible, I never tear them, but trust me, I've seen a lot of them. I've seen it happen many times. Let's see, where were we? Yes, he posts those videos. We'll see. Thank you, sir. I will make a YouTube channel next time with name of my shop, IC Telecom. This is my private account. Cool. All right, no problem. Thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it. All right, so we got a couple more things in here, and then let's see what this is. Here's a small one. Oh, look at this. So this appears to be something similar to the iFlex. Let's see, is this anything on the outside? Okay, this is just company info on the outside, and this plastic does not like to tear. So here we have Oh, it looks, it's slightly different shaped. If anyone can read whatever this is, my understanding is there are 2 languages in China. I may be wrong. Maybe the writing, it's all the same, but I thought it was Cantonese and Mandarin, but now everybody just says Chinese. So I don't know if those are 3 different things or not. In any case, this is obviously a pry tool, but it's super, super thin. Like, do I have an iSesamo laying around here? I have this. I've got an iFlex right up here, and it's probably going to be impossible for you to really see the difference, but I would say that this one is slightly thinner than the iFlex. So obviously it's not going to be as strong, but it's definitely going to be easier to get into small areas with that. So this is kind of cool, and it does stick to the magnet on my workbench, which I really like. I hate when I can't stick things up on my magnet, and that sticks right up there. I know you can't see it. You have to take my word for that one. So that's pretty cool. What else do we have? We have 1, 2, 3 to go, and 2 of them are the same. So let's do these first. So I've got 2 of these. Oh, but they are different. So there's a 007 and a 003. If you haven't already seen these are going to be for scraping things off like underfill when you're working on motherboards. Is there any information on here? Yeah, not too much. So I'm not sure what the difference is. I think, oh, it's the design here. So you can see one of these has kind of this long thing sticking out on one side. They come with 3 at a time. So obviously, you know, they do wear out eventually. This one looks more like a Talon. I mean, look at the shape of this thing. Now I want to show you real quick what I've been using, because I have something similar to this, and I've been kind of, you know, I've been happy with it, but I've been kind of wondering like what other options there are. And I recently purchased a newer one. Let's see if I can even find the thing. I believe it is in my box of stuff. This is, I'm sure you guys all have one of these. This is something, this is your stuff that everything goes in, because it doesn't really have one single place. I did purchase one of these. Let me go over here. So I purchased a set like this from the iPad Rehab website. I also purchased a set like this that comes with, where's the at? It comes with a bunch of what I call paddles, okay? So a lot of different places you can find these. You'll be able to see, I think, the difference in quality here shortly. The first one I got off AliExpress. So this is pretty basic. It's just got a little plastic piece that goes over the end, which I like, because that way you don't have to always take out what's over here. Obviously, you throw this in your toolbox and this thing's going to get all bent up. So it did have this little protective deal. And then when you wanted to change it, you twist over here and this slides right out. So you can interchange these and use whatever you want. And this thing's a little goofy, but it comes with a whole bunch of different types, you know, different shapes and sizes and stuff like that, but not really anything like what we've got over here. Now, my second set was the one that I got off iPad Rehab, and this one's pretty cool. It seems like better quality, you know, overall, nicely built, and it comes in a little box like this. It was unfortunate that they didn't have the plastic cap on this, because I kind of like that. You don't have to worry about always taking this out and putting it back in the box, but as you can see, a whole bunch of different styles and designs here in this thing. And again, you're going to buy more than one, because they will wear out over time, or you'll end up bending them somehow. This, however, you can see this is like a really nice retail package. This is something you could hang up on your shelf and you could sell, you know, if you're wholesaling or you have retail in your store or whatever. I think this pops right off. This pops right off. How cool is that? So you can just take the outside lid out without destroying the package to remove this thing, and there's a little indentation here so we can grab this. And this is a really nice looking, I don't know what you want to call it, a wand or what the correct name is. How do we get this thing together is my question. So this side, okay, so it's very similar. You open this up and it kind of releases. You see how you've got like a crosshair deal on the inside here? So that's going to open up as you unscrew the top, and then getting these out, I guess you just do one of these. And this is going to go in here. And then it's kind of counterintuitive. You think you would just spin this cuff and it would tighten up, but it doesn't. You've got to hold the whole thing at once. And then when you turn it, it tightens up. And then you have a nice precision scraper, or whatever you like to call it. You see that? You can get in between and just scrape that stuff through. So if you hit it with a little heat, somewhere between like 150 and 190, depending on what you're dealing with, you can get that underfill out without hopefully causing any collateral damage. So this is a really nice feeling set. I mean, this is like a high-end pen if you picked it up. I mean, it's metal, it's textured right here. It's actually double-ended. This is even cooler. So this side will unscrew, and you can put a different blade on this tip. So you can have a double-edged thing here. At the same time, that may be a detriment, because if you get sloppy and you're concentrating too much on one side, you might end up bending the other. So I probably won't load them both up. But I would say quality-wise, this is probably the nicest one I've seen so far. And I will, obviously, be trying it out, and I'll let you know how it performs. So 2 of those with 2 different types of designs there. This is not the official review video. I just thought I'd give you guys a preview since you might be interested, and a lot of you like the cutting edge stuff. Let's see. It says make a new generation of dismantled tablet simple, not simple. Does it really say that? Where did I see that at? Was it on the back, Nate? I probably missed it. Where was it on the other package? Which one am I looking for here? I'm not seeing it. Which one are you referring to? I'm really curious now. Was it? Oh, maybe it was the first one. I'm blind, guys. I'm not seeing it. The English is actually pretty decent on here, and a lot of times they have grammatical and spelling errors all over the place. China has some of the world's top phone repair tech. A lot of the newest and best phone repair technology and tools come out of China. Our company's products are the best in the field. We offer the most innovation. Our company works with China's top engineers. Where'd you see that, Nate? I'm curious. Oh, here we go. Probably down here, right? You give us an idea. We turn your idea into a product, and we promote your product in other countries. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'll take your word for it, though. It's probably on one of the other ones I was looking at, right? Oh, is that what that was? A translation of the other one? Okay, so, oh, did I skip one completely? There are actually 3 of these. And this one is, as you can see, this one's different. This one is not like the others. So this has kind of a breakaway package, it looks like, or a template. Come on out of there. So it's got the same sort of stylus, if you want to call it that. I'm going to call it a stylus because wand sounds like, I don't know, it's Harry Potter or something. And this one doesn't want to come out of the package. There we go. So that's very similar to the others, but these you punch out of a template. So I would, and they are super thin. I mean, super, super thin. So different types of applications. And look at this. This thing is actually vented. Some of these are very long and they have holes in them. And I am not going to sit here and act like I know exactly why they did that, because I don't. So I'll be doing some more research before I do the official review video so I can sound like I sort of know what I'm talking about. You know what's interesting over here? There are a couple that have 2 different... Here we go with the shiny surface again. Come on. Okay, let me just punch it out. Check this out. Oh, you know, I didn't want to do that because I wanted to save this for the other video, but I feel like I'm going to break this thing. Come on. This thing has 2 different sides, so it's not... You know, they're in there pretty good, too. Okay, there we go. So this one wants to come off. So check this out. You have 2 different sides here. Let's try the back of the package. That might work, right? Come on. There we go. Look at that. So you got one scraper here. You flip it over, and you have kind of a different style. So this is obviously the next big thing. I got to say, I've been in many situations where I've used my old school one, this, with just the rounded paddle at the end, and that is often not the best, the best design for trying to scrape stuff away. I've bent quite a few of these up. So this looks like it's going to be very useful. I am confident I will be using this in several of these in some upcoming repairs that I have to do, especially if anybody ever sends me an iPhone 5S for a TriStar or a Tigris replacement, right, Nate? Okay, let's see. Okay, so good. We're all cut up there. Let me see what this little thing says. Hopefully it's nothing. Hopefully I can read it, because every once in a while, I know you're supposed to open the card first. What? Well, thank you. It's a couple months late, but, you know, close enough. Welcome to Cooperate and Achieve Win-Win. Dear Master Mike, thanks for your support and help. Wish you all the best and every success. Regards. That's kind of cool. And then we have a business card. There you go. That's how you do it. Send someone a birthday card, just even when it's not their birthday, and who's going to get mad about that, really, right? Anyways, thanks everyone for joining me. I will be back on Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Maybe I will be able to get my microscope camera to work by then, and if so, we'll be doing some live micro soldering repairs. And if not, then I'll just be flapping my gums as usual, I guess. You guys have a great rest of the week and weekend, and I will talk to you next time.